Hey, gorgeous! Welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast with Holly Wharton, which combines powerful strategies on how to upgrade your business mindset, along with practical business tips to grow your business. This podcast features solo shows with Holly and also interviews with inspiring women entrepreneurs from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. And now, here's your host, Holly Wharton.
Hello and welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast, episode 160. This is your host, Holly Wharton. I'm here with today's special guest, Vasavi Kumar. Vasavi is often described as your kick-in-the-pants guide en route to your desired destination. She's a licensed social worker, special education teacher, and a certified coach. She's a pro at attracting media and works with her clients to create and go after opportunities that are aligned with their brand values. Welcome, Vasavi.
Hey, Holly. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Me too.
So why don't we start out by having you tell us a little bit about your background and your business journey and how you got to where you are today?
Well, I've been in business for, it's going to be 6 years. I think it's almost actually going to be 7 years. And I started out in 2010, right after I was finishing up my second master's in social work at Columbia University in New York, where I'm originally from. And, I came across the coaching industry and having experienced both sides of the social work field, being both a therapy client myself, having been in therapy myself, but now also studying the other side, which is the practitioner. When I came across the coaching philosophy, just, really focusing more on the present and setting goals and a forward-moving conversation rather than analyzing the past, which, by the way, huge advocate of therapy. Everyone needs to be in therapy. If you have issues that are still holding you back, you need to get that handled. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy. But personally, I just enjoyed that I could be a facilitator and be able to help other people really move forward in their lives. So, I started off doing pro bono, one-on-one coaching, and then I started getting paying clients. And I'm really kind of like how you read in my bio, I'm really good at attracting opportunities, finding ways to spread my message, such as doing podcast interviews just like this. And that's really how I started to build my business by, reaching out to radio stations, TV stations. I was on TV for a year and a half when I was living in Kansas City, doing podcast interviews. So for me, I'm a firm believer that if you have a message to share that you think could help another human being move forward, then it's your responsibility to find different ways to get your message out there. I worked with really good mentors throughout my career, really immersed myself in this world of online marketing. And, there's so much more to it that I'm sure if your listeners want to go over to my website at vasavikumar.com, they can easily learn more. But I think part that I really want to highlight, which I know that you said you want to talk about is, last year I took a year off from my business. I had already built a well-known online brand. My business was 100% online. People were finding me through different platforms online. But I went through a divorce last year that really forced me to choose. Do I want to continue pushing through and, running my business and acting as if, everything was hunky-dory? Or do I want to be real with myself and ask myself, really, what would be the healthiest thing for me to do right now? And as scary as it was, because, when you build a brand and you have 7,000 subscribers and all of a sudden you're like, by the way, guys, my life is basically falling apart, so I'm not going to be around anymore. That was very hard for me to do, but that's a decision that I made. And so last year I did shut down my business. I just took a brief hiatus, like a year. And
that's like a full sabbatical.
That is basically like I felt like I had just, given birth and I needed to shut down. But I wasn't giving birth. I was literally mourning the death of my marriage, right? So it wasn't, I shut down my business. I stopped taking on one-on-one clients. I stopped doing interviews. I ended up working 5 jobs to keep myself afloat. It was the first time in my life that I was financially independent. So I spent a lot of last year inwards and really focusing on me, who I am, and getting myself together. And people don't prepare you for divorce. People say that it's hard, but unless you go through it, you really have no idea what to expect. So I did that. And then this past January, I came back full force. We're now in, 6 months into the year. And I have to say, it's never been better. I have never been more clear and more aligned and more full from the inside out. And I think that's why I've been doing as well as I've been doing. So here I am today talking to you, and just really hoping to share some value with your listeners if people are looking to maybe not just rebrand. I'm not talking about rebranding, but really evaluating who they are, where they are in their business. Is it aligned with how they feel? as people? Is it aligned with their values and their work ethic and their character? And how are you serving other people? And just most importantly, are you happy? Are you happy doing what you do? Or are you just trying to keep up with the Joneses, you know? And so what I truly believe, Holly, is that every single one of us has a gift, and we need to get clear first on what that gift is. And there are different ways for us to monetize that if you want to help people moving forward.
So as you were building your business, how long were you in business before you took a break then? About 6 years, was it?
It was probably, yeah. I would say 5.5 years, yeah.
So what do you think was kind of the secret to building such a strong community that you didn't lose them in that year that you took a break?
Oh my God, being a content machine, always giving free content through the form of YouTube videos. I used to do weekly videos called Keeping It Real. Everywhere you went, there I was. So I never turned down any opportunity when I first started. If you wanted me to be on a telesummit, yes. If you wanted to interview me, yes. If you wanted me to guest blog, yes. If you wanted me to speak on a radio station, yes. And I'm a shameless self-promoter, because I truly believe in what I have to say. And I also think that enthusiasm and confidence is what people really need to get going in life, right? There's a lot of talk and there's not a lot of doing behind it. And so I really enjoy helping other people see that they have what it takes and they don't need to stay stuck. You don't need to stay stuck. And so I think the secret to my success is that I have no problem talking about what it is that I do, but more importantly, I am extremely generous with the content that I have. It's not like, oh, but if you want to access me, you have to pay $1 million to talk to me for 5 minutes. You know, I know I'm being dramatic here, but
but we all know what you're talking about.
Yes, I'm very, very accessible to people. I'm not as accessible now, but I would like to think that I am much more accessible than a lot of other people in our industry. I actually want to talk to human beings. I don't have somebody answering my emails, and I pride myself on that. Like if you write to me, you're going to get a response back from me, not from some lady in the Philippines. No offense. There's nothing wrong with having a lady from the Philippines write back to you. But my point is that if you're writing to me, you're going to get a response back from me.
Yeah. So all of these podcasts and these blog posts and telesummits that you were doing, were you reaching out to people to get these opportunities, or were people starting to come to you and invite you to their platforms?
I would say in the beginning, it was always me.
Yeah.
I reached out. I don't understand people who are just waiting for folks to come knocking on your door. That's not going to happen. And that's very silly for you to even think that. Even to this day, I'm almost into 7 years into business. I reached out to you. Right? That's the truth. I reached out to you, and that's part of what you need to do when you're in business. You know what I mean? You need to reach out. You need to find other opportunities to get your message out there. So it keeps you humble, and it also keeps you in charge of, it just keeps you in control. And because I am a control freak, but you can't sit and be a victim and say, oh my God, how come all these people are out getting interviewed and I'm not? It's like, no, that's your job to do that.
Yeah. It's your responsibility to take action.
Right. Unless you have a full-blown marketing team advertising on your behalf, it is your job to do that. So I would say, in the beginning, it was definitely me reaching out. And then once my name started to get out there more and more, I think other people started to see like, oh, wow, cool. Like she's open to doing interviews. So I have a lot of even to this day, still have a lot of telesummit requests and interview requests. But you better believe that I have a whole Google spreadsheet of podcasts that I reach out to. And I will follow up with, you being one of them.
Yep.
And now here we are. So yeah, I mean, it's 50-50 now, but I would say 90% of the interviews that you may hear me on, I have reached out to them personally.
Excellent. I think that's a really, really good point, because it is so easy to see, there's certain people that do get interviewed everywhere and you see them everywhere. And I think it's so easy to think, oh, well, they've got these opportunities because they are where they are in their business. But obviously they got to where they are in the business because they reached out to people. You can't just sit back and just expect, the invitations to flood in.
No, that's silly thinking. Once again, that's to think like, oh my God, why them and not me? And it's like, you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. No one actually says, by the way, I do podcast outreach once a week. Like tomorrow, for example, I have an entire 3 hours blocked out because I have an entire Google spreadsheet of 35 podcasts that I want to reach out to, right? So I am doing that, but no one actually says that out loud. Well, I'm saying it to you out loud. I have no one on my behalf doing that. I do that because you know why? No one can represent me the way that I can represent me.
Yes.
So let's not get it twisted. It doesn't, I mean, obviously there's going to get to a point, I'm sure, where the interview requests are going to come in, and I still get those. But, I truly enjoy reaching out to people. Like I said, it keeps me humble, and it's just part of what I have to do. It's like, it's not even just like, oh yeah, I'm doing it to keep myself humble. I mean, yeah, that's a byproduct of it. But the reason is because I have to. It's my responsibility to do that. I told you this prior to us interviewing, us getting on and starting the recording. 99% of all new business that I get comes from listeners who hear me on podcast interviews.
I know, and I think that's amazing. I think that's such a fantastic strategy, and I love it because I've never heard anyone say anything similar to that. So listeners, this is something to pay attention to. Now, how do you go about building your magic spreadsheet? Do you just, spend a couple of hours each week just looking at podcasts, looking at who's a good fit for you? How do you pick and choose the best podcasts for you to be interviewed on?
Well, actually, I should tell you this. I'm going to be very honest. So when I first started doing this, so I hate spreadsheets. I'm the daughter of an accountant. So anything Excel makes me want to stick a needle in my eye. I don't know how my dad does it, but he loves spreadsheets. I don't do things that way. When I first started, I would literally open up notes on my iPhone and so this is to all your listeners, it's not complicated. I literally Google top female entrepreneur podcast, top podcasts of 2016, top podcasts of 2015. I look up people who are doing similar things that I'm doing, and I look up where they've been interviewed. And then I literally take a list of those podcasts and I put it in my iPhone notes. I look up who the contact person is and I send them my email or my pitch. I send them my pitch, right? But I met this girl. Her name is Laura Yemin. I actually don't know her website, but her name is Laura Yemin. I can give you that information, Yamin, and she provides a podcasting service. So we were talking just a few weeks ago and she goes, let me find podcasts for you that are perfect for you, that are, that are kind of bigger, like even bigger podcasts with even a bigger reach. So she actually made me a Google spreadsheet. So I will send you that info so your listeners can reach out to her. She's great, but she sent me a Google spreadsheet, and if you give me a moment, I can actually pull it up, but it's just podcast, the name of the podcast, the industry that it's in, who is the host, what is the contact info, right? And that's it. And then I made my own column that basically said date of pitch, right? So when did I reach out to this person? And then what was their response? If they say to me, hey, reach out in another 2 months, I make note of that and I'll reach out to them again. So it's just that simple to keep it all in one place, because iPhone notes will not work for me forever because it's not very organized, but I just operate the way my brain works, which is kind of like, oh, let me just dump it in my iPhone.
No, and I think it's great that you reach out personally to people because as a podcast host, I get pitches and I get pitches directly from people like you. And then I get pitches from people who are like, hello, I'm writing from the office of so-and-so. They do this and this and this. And we think that your podcast would be a good fit for them to talk about their thing. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. And yes, I've discovered this new person, but I find it so much more just interesting, and I just much prefer it when people reach out to me, directly, because then it's like an instant contact with them rather than via their assistant person.
By the way, I sometimes wonder, are you totally bullshitting right now and pretending that you're talking on behalf of somebody else?
Sometimes I wonder that too.
Sometimes I wonder that. But the other thing is if I'm going to so for me, it's building relationships, right?
Yes.
So Holly, even after this, you and I hopefully will stay in touch. Yeah. Or if I have a guest for you, I will recommend them. I will send my clients who I believe are ready to be interviewed by you your way. So it's going to be a mutual exchange. You know what I mean? In some shape or form. So for me, it's like, one of the things that bothers me on the online industry is that there's this, let's act as if it's like, you go to people's website, me and my team. And I'm like, I don't fucking have a team. It's me. Yeah. It's me. And that's fine. Listen, I do have one girl that I work with monthly. We work on all the automation and the content. But my point is why are you trying to act bigger than you actually are? Who you are, just be honest. Yeah. Just be honest. So I say in my automated welcome sequence, write to me, I will write back. Vasavi Kumar. It's just stop painting an image, and why don't you just be who you are? And and if you truly have a team, that's great. What I'm saying is, if you are solo, on your own, solo dolo, doing it by yourself, then why are you trying to act like you have a team of 8 people? Because you're going to feel like an imposter if you do that, right? So I'm looking at down the road, how is that going to affect your self-esteem if you're lying and you're putting it out there and saying you have all these people working for you when you really don't? Just be honest and be like, it's me. I'm going to write back to you. Doesn't mean anything. Maybe that's the way you want to run your business,
Yeah, I love getting first-hand connections with people, because if I'm going to be interviewing you on my podcast, I want to get to know who you are more than just what's on your website.
Absolutely.
And I can tell a lot about someone from the way they pitch themselves to me. Like, I either instantly connect with them, or I kind of feel like, so
Yep.
that's also my first impression coming from the person rather than their assistant.
I love that example because I've actually got emails, like telesummit interview emails, like, I'm writing from, and I'm like, nope, not doing it. And then they'll like invite me to be on the telesummit about something that has nothing, like about feminine leadership. And I'm like, I don't talk about, why are you reaching out to me? Like, have you even researched? And it's fine. I'm all about feminine leadership, but like, have you done your research to even see who I am, what I talk about, what my approach is? Because I've been on telesummits where it's really more like the feminine way to run your business. And like, I'm the most masculine person that they're interviewing. And it's like, hello, like, it actually makes me look really good because I'm so different from everybody else, right? Shock therapy. But it's also like, you clearly didn't do your research when you reached out to me. So that's annoying too.
Yeah, when people pick you and you're totally not a good fit for whatever their topic is.
Yes.
So you made this comeback after a year's off of your business. Now, what do you think were the biggest things that contributed to that? I mean, we've talked about, you're creating all this amazing content, but what do you think really was the secret to just picking up where you left off and just getting, I think you said on your website or in your email or something to me, I read somewhere, within 72 hours, you had people signed up for your new offerings?
Honestly, everything else, every other option felt like a downgrade. It's like, I was like, okay, well, I guess I can go get a job, which I've never had, by the way. So it was like, okay, well, I know I definitely want to, get back to helping people, because I was driving for Uber and all this shit. And I was like, all right, well, this is slowly killing my soul. I've done this for a year. I know I definitely I can't not be of service to other people. I can't not do that. I know that is a double negative, but so I was looking at all my different options, and everything else just felt so like, it just felt like a downgrade. And I'm like, what am I doing? I have worked so hard to build what I've built. And I think I was scared too that people would be like, well, okay, you're crazy because you left for a year and now you're back. Like, are you like, what's wrong with you?
Can we take you seriously?
Of course, there was all of that. There was all of that and some. But I think what really fueled me to get back, is I have to do this. Like, it's the only thing that felt right for me. It's the only thing that felt like I wasn't downgrading, like downgrading me. Like, I'm not talking about anybody else, but it's like my career, and how I make money is so important to me. Like, it was like, I need to make money in a way that actually feels like I'm doing good in the world and I'm connecting with other human beings. And every other thing that I was trying to think up of just didn't fit. So I'm like, wait a minute, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel? I already did stuff. I was already doing stuff that made me feel purposeful. And then shit happened, life happened. I got divorced, and I'm like, okay, I got to just, pull myself up and get back to it. That's it.
And when you made that decision to take this time off in your business, did you know you were going to give yourself a year, or was that just, I'm going to take some time off and however long it takes?
I had no idea. I did not put a timeline. I don't do well with like timelines and stuff because I feel very constricted. No, I had no idea. I had no idea. I gave myself from basically, so I got divorced in November 2014. I moved out on my own in February of 2015. I like officially shut my business down in like March. And so, yeah, I had to deal with a lot of stuff. It was hard. I'm out of it now, so I'm kind of talking about it like it's, no big deal, but it was really, really hard. So I gave myself all the time that I needed. And then when I felt I was ready, I came back.
Excellent. And did you, obviously you had, fears around shutting down your business, but how did that feel to just shut it all down?
I felt like such a loser because I was like, who am I without all of this?
Yes.
Who am I? If I'm not Vasavi Kumar, VasaviKumar.com, then who am I? Yeah. So that's really kind of what was going on. Like I think I told you this, that I was driving for Uber. And so a lot of times I'd be, driving my little car and I'd have these college girls get in the back seat, like, drunk and be like, oh yeah, and they're like ordering me around, telling me where to go and whatever, not really talking to me because, people are rude. And in my mind, my ego is like, oh my God, don't you know who I am? Don't you know? That's my ego. My huge ass ego is saying this. And it really humbled me to do this. And I did feel like a loser. I felt like such a loser and I felt so useless. But I got to tell you, probably the best thing that ever happened, because what happened was that I had to really ask myself, who am I without all of this external bullshit, like subscribers and Facebook followers. And I never shut down my Facebook page. That was probably something very smart that I did. I worked hard that's all organic growth, So I felt really useless. And I felt like, when I still go to networking events, by the way, here in Austin. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm driving for Uber. Like it really took a toll. It really took a toll on my self-esteem. It really did. But what it highlighted was how much of my worth and self-esteem was tied into the external achievements. Mm-hmm. And I think going through that and really starting to have more respect for myself, who I am outside of what I do, is what primed me to come back full force this past January of 2016, and also speak clearly. When I say speak clearly, speak with conviction. My messaging is strong as shit. No matter what interview you listen to, it is the same across the board. And people like that. People like consistency. People like transparency. People like confidence. And people want to know that, how you represent yourself on your website is how you are on an interview, is how you are when you're actually working with them face to face. And I think I've done a very good job of being one person. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like, that's part of the problem with having a business online, is that you can be anyone. You can represent or misrepresent yourself, right? Mm-hmm. To get to the bottom line. And I didn't do that. I took the time off to really get myself in check and to make sure that I am who I am behind closed doors, outside, on an interview, on my website, in my emails. You know what I mean? So that's really important to me. Mm-hmm. That's really, really important to me. And I think that's why I'm doing well. I'm doing very well, actually. Yes. So
excellent. So
did that even answer your question? I don't even know if I answered your question.
Yes.
Right.
So for any entrepreneurs who may be listening to this and thinking, I think I might need a business break as well, either because they're going through some kind of crisis in their personal life or for whatever reason, what would your top tips be on how to make a good comeback from that business break rather than just kind of losing it all?
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I mean, if I could do things differently, this is what I would say. Well, you know what? I wouldn't do things differently. First of all, let me just say that. Everything that I did is fine as it is, right? I needed to do it this way and that's it. I don't regret it. But I would say just get clear on why you're doing it. You also want to have some sort of plan. Like I had no idea how I was going to make money at that point because I wasn't doing one-on-one work. And I was like, oh my God, I can't just get a job. I get bored so quickly. So I wanted to kind of have, I wanted to diversify how I was spending my time and making my money. So I did that to just have some sort of plan. Like, what are you going to do? Because then, if you're trying to take a break so that you can spend time inwards and you can focus on yourself, last thing you want to be is all stressed out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just figure out what you're going to do. What's your plan? And then also communicating it with your list. How are you going to communicate it with your list? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to say to them? You know what I mean? Because if you have quite a substantial following, it doesn't really look good. I hate to say it that way, but it doesn't really look good when you're like, okay, bye. Thanks for being on my list. I'm leaving now. So have some sort of so I remember what I said to my list was, something about I'll be back. And I'm like, some changes being made. And I let them know this is what I'm going through. I don't feel in integrity anymore running my business because I'm going through so much and I do not have the emotional capacity to take on other people right now. So I'll be back. I don't know when. So I didn't trap myself in a box. But I think that if you do need to take a break, give yourself that break, because I am proof that if you give yourself that break and really allow yourself to get what you need from that break, which is if it's silence, if it is, taking care of yourself, self-care, if it's, just pausing so you can really evaluate who the hell am I? And is this business working for me anymore? Or am I working for the business? You know what I mean? And I get really, really clear. If you need to do that, do it. Like the world will not come to an end. I am proof that the world will not come to an end. And the other big thing that I think a reason why a lot of business owners don't want to take a break is that they're so afraid of not being relevant anymore. And I think what I realized is that regardless, I'm not relevant. What I mean by that is this, is like the world does not revolve around you. I know we like to think it does, and we like to have such a heightened sense of self-importance. But as soon as I was like, you know what? People are going to forget me. It's fine. It's going to happen, and that is okay. And when I come back, I'll come back bigger and better. And the people who, you know, jive with my content and jive with my approach, they'll come back. So I think the number one thing is get over yourself, right? Get over yourself so that you can start focusing on yourself. So that's a tweetable. I just made that up, by the way, if you want to quote that. So I definitely think that was my number one hesitation in taking a break was, oh my God, people are going to forget about me. And it's like, get over yourself.
And you're going to have to start from scratch. I think that's probably another big fear.
Yeah, but yes, that is another big fear, 100%. But when I had to start back from scratch, I didn't really have to start. I mean, I did, but I didn't because I still had my list. I still had my subscriber list. I wrote to them. I primed them for what was happening. But I would rather have taken that break, started from, in your words, scratch, but come back clearer and more focused and fuller on the inside than continuing to run on empty. You know what I mean? And then eventually
burning out.
Like, yes, I'm going to be like a one-hit wonder. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to like go out like Britney Spears. You know what I mean? So I was like, I have to take this break and focus on myself.
Yeah. And I think it's so amazing that you actually allowed yourself, gave yourself permission to do that and then bounce back from it.
Yes, you have to allow yourself to take that break and trust that you will be able to bounce back. I think that's another thing is that people don't think they'll be able to bounce back. And it's like, have a little, trust yourself. Yeah. I mean, you would not have come this far if you didn't have something going on inside of you good, fueling you and moving you forward.
Yeah, exactly. So Vasavi, do you have any women business mentors? Are there any women entrepreneurs who inspire you?
Myself? Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. No, I'm going to be really honest with you. Okay. And I think that people don't talk about this, but I'm just going to tell you. So when I first started out, my mentor was Lisa Nichols, who was in the movie. She was in the movie, The Secret, but Lisa Nichols is great. She taught me everything that I needed to learn in the beginning about, just affiliate marketing, multiple revenue streams, online marketing, how to create courses, membership sites, all that stuff. I did all of it. Okay. Now that was maybe 4.5 years ago. Yeah, 4.5 years ago. And then a lot of what I know now is self-taught and experimentation and failing and then getting back up. I also am an avid learner. So I read, I look up lots of things. I implement it myself. I look to see if it's working or not. And, I take charge of my own learning and growth. But I will be really honest with you, Holly. I'm not going to bullshit you. Is that at this point in my business, do I pay someone to mentor me? Absolutely not. No. Do I have colleagues that I can bounce ideas off of? Absolutely. I go to my dad a lot. My dad's the freak, the CPA who loves spreadsheets. My dad is the kindest, most successful man I know from the inside out. And he has such solid work ethic and character and for him, it's always been service first and money second. And he's a testament to that because he does so well. And it's because he truly gives without attachment. So, I'll bounce ideas off of him, but I've come to the point in my life where my number one business advisor is myself. That's it. So I don't know if people are like, wait, but you need to have a coach. You need to have a mentor. I go, yeah, well, if you don't know something and maybe you need some guidance from someone who's been there, done that, yeah, do that. But I'm really happy about where I'm at right now. I also am self-motivated. I don't need to pay someone to hold me accountable. You know what I mean? I don't need to pay someone to hold me accountable. I don't need to pay someone to tell me what to do. I did in the beginning, but after 6, almost 7 years now of doing this, number one, I trust myself very, very, very much. I don't trust anybody else the way I trust myself. Number two, if I need to get somebody's input or advice, I trust myself very, very much. So I come to myself. And I know that may be like, because all the talk out there, you need a mentor, you need a mentor, you need a mentor. Okay, get what you need from your mentor, learn it, learn from it, implement it, learn from your mistakes. If you need to go back to get a little clarification, that's great. I had a mentor for 2-3 years. So I'm not even going to say, don't work with people. But there has to be a point in your life and in your business where you start to trust yourself. And let me tell you why I'm so adamant about this, because I meet so many people that have spent tens of thousands of dollars only to be taught cookie cutter formulas. Okay. So that is why, if you are going to hire a mentor, if you are going to hire a coach, make sure that the person that you're working with isn't trying to just use some formula. To, and like, this is what you need to do. You need to do this, and this. And then they're miserable. Because I did that. I was miserable, right? And so now the only person that I answer to is myself. And that's it. And, my hope when I work with clients is they don't come back.
Because they get what they need.
Get what they need. And I actually heard myself saying this with another client. She goes, I think I'm going to buy more hours from you. I didn't tell her this, but in my mind, I was like, why? You know what I mean? But it was fine. My whole thing that I want to train my clients is like, you don't need me. I need you to know that you don't need me. However, if you think that I still have value that I can give you in XYZ area, great. Let's buy, you can buy a package of hours. We can work on that. Go ahead and rebook for me. I mean, it's not self-sabotage. It really is. I don't want people to be codependent and think, I need to work with this person because I can't do it myself. The mindset that I train my clients to have is, Vas, you have a level of expertise, you have resources, you have XYZ that I could really benefit from. So I'm choosing to buy another package of hours, not, oh my God, I am lost without you. You get what I'm saying? Because then you get sucked into that cycle of just spending a shit ton of money because you feel empty without a mentor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yes.
So moving on from that, how can other women entrepreneurs work with you? What kinds of options do you have?
Well, okay. So the first option is I do have a free training video. They go to vasavikumar.com/focused action. That's one word. I have a free 20-minute training video, which is how to pick one business idea and take action in less than 20 minutes. Okay. After that, I invite you to sign up to do a 20-minute call with me, no strings attached. Here's the extent of my sales pitch. When we get on that phone for 20 minutes, you tell me what's going on. I will review any of your materials ahead of that time. You let me know whatever your problem is. I will see if I have a solution for you. My solution is in the form of buying hours from me. I have my number one service that people buy is Rent Vasavi's Brain. It's a package of 5 hours. If it's a fit, if it works, great, then we work together. That's it. And then I have other ways that you can work with me. If you go to my website, you can learn all about it.
Excellent. Great.
Yeah,
That's pretty damn clear.
Yeah.
So, Vasavi, I know you've mentioned your website, but what other places can people find you online? What are the social networks where you hang out the most?
Facebook is great. Facebook.com/Vasavi Kumar Coaching. So I have my personal profile, my business page. You'll just look up Vasavi Kumar. And then Instagram, where I post usually photos of me going out and selfies and my dog and food and everything else in between. So, I don't just like to post inspirational quotes. In fact, I never like to post inspirational quotes. I really don't. I can't do it anymore. It's like, if I have to read one more, Mother Teresa or Gandhi quote, I'm going to die. You know what I mean? I would rather learn more about someone and how they live and what they believe in and just kind of other stuff going on in their life than posting up a meme. I've done it, so it's fine. I'm not knocking it. But if you really kind of want to look behind the scenes, look at me as a human being, who I am as a person, then Instagram too, it's Vasavi Kumar.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you. And thank you for listening. And remember to visit hollywharton.com/160 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Business Mindset Podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for topics that were discussed at hollywharton.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to head over to iTunes and leave a quick review of this podcast. It just takes a minute. Thank you.